Hello everyone and welcome back to Enter the Ether, the podcast all about the upcoming third-person Moba Ethereal Clash of Souls. I'm your host, the Mangoose. Joining me as always is my friend, co-host, and UG member, JellyKnees. How you doing, Jelly?
I am excellent, Mangoose. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. We were just talking about Dune. I'm going to have to go see it now.
You are. Absolutely. I need more people to talk about it with, so perfect.
Is it only in theaters right now?
It's on HBO as well, I think.
Okay. Well, this is a Dune podcast now.
Yep, there we go.
Out the window. We're talking about Dune. Yeah, so what we were going to talk about this week, we talked about it a little bit last week. The things that we wanted to see that the other games, the Paragon successors are doing well, that we would like to see brought into Ethereal, and some of the things that are not doing so great that we'd like to see improved in Ethereal. I didn't get too much feedback on it. Did you get any feedback, Jelly?
No, I didn't really at all.
Yeah. I pretty much just got my own shit that I wanted to talk about. So I'm just out of curiosity, Jelly, what do you have?
Oh, man. I feel like there are a lot of things that are obvious ones. I would say one of the biggest features I know for myself and for a lot of people that we saw with Fault when it first came out and all of those things, a feature that I love, especially in the third-person MOBA, is the objective health bars. When you're under tower or taking a key objective, that you get the global health bar on your screen, and then it tells you how many minions you have left and all of those things. That is such a nice quality of life feature that when it's absent, I know others miss it horribly, but when it's present, it's such a good yes, thank you. I know I have 1 minion left. I need to leave. Incredible feature.
Yeah, that's definitely needed. It introduces so much interesting gameplay, holding on to the last second to try and get as much tower damage in as possible before you start getting, or maybe thinking, that tower's so low, I don't even need these minions anymore. Maybe I can tank this. That's where
and you don't have to flick your screen around to check your minions every couple seconds, especially as a melee where you're on the tower. Yeah, no, absolutely a must-have feature.
Yeah, so that's a good one. Another good one that I like is carried forward from Fault, and a lot of these are going to be Fault based because Fault's the only one that's actually playable, but in general. But their ability to mute people or report bugs in game is done really well. All you got to do is tab, and bam, everything's right there. If you need to report a bug, go ahead. If somebody's being, I like to have voice chat on, but if somebody's being extremely toxic, then I'm just going to mute them and move on. And a lot of people kind of argue against voice chat and all chat and stuff like that. I think if you have a good system for muting it, if you don't want it, then it should be there. It's a pretty good tool if that's what you like. And I'd like to see that carried forward into Ethereal. Just that ease of use when it comes to bug reporting and reporting people if you need to.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that we've kind of talked about our key diehard features, what is one that you think the others don't have that Ethereal needs to improve on?
So this is the one. This is kind of the one that sparked this entire conversation. Boris in Fault gets unstoppable, but only if he consumes 4 canisters of energy or whatever. One canister does one thing, 2 canisters. 4 canisters is what he becomes unstoppable, but you never know how many he's activated, so you end up wasting CC on this freaking bear that's unstoppable. And I wish there was some sort of visible representation on Boris so that I know that he's unstoppable, so I'm not flicking a 12-second hook out there at the Boris to try and get him off of my ADC when it's just not going to happen. It's going to do absolutely nothing. I would like to see that brought through. I would like to see that improved in Ethereal. I think Talos, especially, whenever he's activated his right click, his risk reward, and he's super powerful, but he's going to be slowing down soon. If we can get some sort of, I don't know if a glow around him or something like that. I don't know how you would do it, but some sort of particle effect so that other people can see his status.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that definitely is needed. Fault desperately needs stuff like that as well. And it's just quality of life features, right? It's just going through and making sure that as an enemy, I can clearly tell what the other player is going to do or what they have, what they're capable of.
Mhm.
Right. So like you said, Boris being unstoppable, do something, make him glow red. Right. And that way, he's in a frenzy state and he can whatever. Talos would be a great example. Leah's passive, another one that could be useful for that. Noxus passive is another one that could be useful for that.
Definitely Noxus passive. Yeah.
Something to just, even if it's a small detail that like until you learn it, you don't know about it. But when you learn the thing, you're like, oh, okay, now I can clearly tell every time Noxus has her passive or not. Before you take an engage, you can just say yes or no at a glance and go from there.
And we talked about this a little bit already, and we were talking about Greystone and Paragon. Whenever his ultimate was active, like a portion of his back would glow. It was just a very small portion, but the people that knew to look for that knew when his ultimate was active and that he could resurrect. And I think that would be nice to see on Noxus for sure, because Noxus's passive is a lot like Greystone's ultimate, sort of.
Yeah. So I would say a feature for me that I feel like a lot of the Paragon had issues with, and then the Paragon successors are having issues with as well, is rotation times. Right? Kind of making sure that you don't have a couple seconds where someone leaves one lane and then appears in another one faster than you can realistically react in a lot of cases. Right? The rotations from duo lane to mid or mid to duo are insanely fast sometimes. And they're getting better because as they're kind of as they've tweaked move speeds and stuff. Hopefully the new map stays that way. But we haven't really played Predecessor enough to know, but because it was on Monolith, or it's on a Monolith style map, they're going to be similar to what they were on Monolith for Paragon. And then Overprime is just much faster in general, so rotations are insane. But I want to see like healthy rotations from one lane to another. Not something that's not too long, but it's not so short that you feel like you're constantly able to just be somewhere else or have someone from somewhere else on top of you.
And I think Ethereal's kind of doing that right, because you do have to, like, it's a little bit like the way Overprime's doing, where you take a portal from one lane to the other, but you actually have to walk a ways to get to, like, you got to be it takes a while to actually do that, to actually rotate with that portal. Whereas with Overprime, it's just right on the side of the lane. So you can get from left lane to right lane in a snap, or right lane to left lane. And like, I think that's going to cause a lot of problems for them. And I think it's actually, they're trying to speed up their gameplay with stuff like that. I think it's going to slow down gameplay because people are going to play a lot more cautious in the early game, because you never know when all of a sudden your 2v2 becomes a 4v2.
Absolutely. And I mean, we've talked about that before as well with Ethereal and having two junglers. That's why we don't think the Void lane is a good lane for the duo lane, because that same concept of turning a lane from a 2v2 into a 4v2 just because both junglers have that as the center of the map for themselves. Right? So it's detrimental in that way. Absolutely. What are some other features that you think Ethereal is in need of or needs to implement that others have?
Well, that others have. Let's see. The alpha schedule, I think, that a lot of these other games have used, I think has been actually pretty good. Like, where it's just like a weekend that, like, maybe not everybody and their mother gets to play, but like the way Predecessors have done it, like slowly increasing the amount of people. Fault did it too, slowly increase the amount of people that was able to get in on their alpha test so that they can break their servers in. Like, it didn't work so great for Predecessor for their last stress test, of course. But I mean, at least they didn't try and start with that, and then they would have no data whatsoever to work off of. At least now they have an inkling of what they need to do. I would like to see Ethereal do that as well. Don't just open it up for everybody. That's kind of a thing that one of them did bad. I think Fault released a little too soon in early access because everybody got such a horrible taste in the mouth, because Fault did not play well at the beginning. It took them until patch 0.13 for them to get Fault playing to where I actually enjoyed playing the game and wanted to play the game. So I think if they would have released Fault in the state that they released it as patch 13, they would still be out before any of the other games. They would still be making money, and they would have a lot less problems and a lot bigger player base, because a lot of people tried Fault and then were like, nope, this isn't for me, and bailed out and haven't come back since. So I think Ethereal needs to make sure. Yeah. What? Go for it.
I seem to remember there being a famous quote in my mind from you during that first weekend Fault was playable, of that you would rather play Pred blindfolded with an NES controller with your dick than you would play Fault anymore. So
I did
yeah,
say that,
I think
didn't
it's
I?
improved a little bit since then.
Yeah, it definitely has. I forgot I said that. But yeah, Fault was in a terrible. They released too early. But yeah, that slow build up that Fault was doing at first, and then predecessor's been doing. I think Ethereal should definitely do that. Iron out your kinks before you actually have like a sustained early access.
Yeah, I actually completely agree with you. Kind of just that slow ramp up is something they all of these companies have shown that they needed, and that Ethereal is going to need as well. In the same by the same token. So absolutely. I think a big thing for me that I want to see, and we've talked about it a little bit before, is some kind of improved ping system. Something that is clear and concise for new players to pick up, but still gets information across for players that are using it consistently. So, and one thing that I granted this is like extreme level of ping system, I would love to see your FPS style ping system in a MOBA, especially a 3D MOBA.
You mean like you just pick a location and ping it, or?
So pick a location and ping it, and it can be in conjunction with some of the other ones we see in MOBAs. But like if I ping the Wyverns, for example, right, then it pings to my team attack Wyverns.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so something that it's a little more direct, it's a little more straightforward. Anybody can use it, right? Or if you click the ground, I'm going here, or you can click and hold and give more specific than that. But something that you could really make intuitive for most players that makes it really simple and easy to pick up.
I like that. I would also like just like if you ping somewhere on the map, it just pings it. Like maybe it doesn't give you information. It doesn't say I'm moving there. It doesn't say attack. Doesn't say caution. Just ping there to be able to get people's attention in that area. Maybe somebody's rotating. You don't have time to like go through like the Paragon and the Fault style. Like I need to. Okay, enemy missing. Fuck. What? No.
You don't want to play
that's not a
PDR
one.
every time you ping enemy missing.
If I could just ping in between the lanes and get them to like pay attention. Like, oh, there's something in that area. Maybe I don't tell them exactly what it is, but I think that would be nice to have.
Yeah, something to make it simple. In team fights, you could ping an enemy myth to alert like your whole team focus this person.
Yeah. Oh God, that would be so nice.
It'd be such a relatively simple tool, but that's so useful and much easier to pick up than these other ones that we've seen. And for a 3D MOBA would work a lot better because you actually have that range of freedom with your mouse to make those specific pings.
Yeah. I know that was crucial in when I used to play World of Warcraft because I was a raid leader, and just being able to on the fly mark a target with a skull so that everybody focuses that target.
Mm-hmm.
That would be so nice to have in a MOBA because there's so many times that everybody's just attacking all kinds of different stuff. So you end up with the enemy team, everybody's got like 50 health left, but your team's dead because nobody was focusing on a single target. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be really nice to have.
See, I completely agree. I would love that so much. Something I've always felt like I've missed in other MOBAs is a more direct ping system.
Yeah. I think one of the things that Ethereal needs to steer away from is something that I think there's another thing that Fault kind of fucked up with is they started talking about esports like from the beginning. Yeah. And we've seen what happened with Heroes of the Storm. Heroes of the Storm is a pretty decent game, and their esports now that Blizzard has abandoned Heroes of the Storm and abandoned their esports now is actually doing a lot better than it was when Blizzard was trying to like force it down people's throats.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that has to be something that comes naturally from within the community. Like the community needs to start these tournaments and then host them, and then it'll be fun that way. And then if something gets popular, then maybe Undying can like come in and like, okay, we recognize that the community really loves how this is being run. We'll throw some rewards in there for like some skins and stuff like that, and maybe work with them. But I don't think any kind of esports to do with Ethereal, it shouldn't happen for years to come, and it should be fan driven, not company driven.
Absolutely agree. And we've talked about that internally already, is that we don't want to be the heroes of the storm. We don't want to force it down people's throats because it's shown to be ineffective. Right? We saw it with Fault as well on a smaller scale. But a company like League of Legends, their community drove the esports for the first long time. And then Riot stepped in and said, okay, we can help publicize, endorse, and do these things to then grow it to the level that it's at now.
Right.
That was all, again, like you said, all community driven at first, and then the company stepped in to help facilitate and to help make it bigger and do the next big thing. Once there was enough demand shown to warrant their time and effort involved in all of that as well. So I completely agree with you on that.
Do you remember when Soul Leave held a tournament for Overprime?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember how it went?
No, because I avoided it like the plague.
The first game lasted, I think it was an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And like every single game, because the way Overprime was set up, was lasting for fucking ever. So that they couldn't even finish their tournament, I don't think, because it was just taking so goddamn long.
I mean, I played in a couple tournaments before Epic got involved in any way, shape, or form. With Paragon, I played in a couple tournaments that were all community driven, and those honestly were more fun than any of the epic ones.
Yeah.
Because it was us. It was people that loved the game coming together to put something together. It didn't feel like Epic was putting their hands all over it. It didn't feel like any of that. It was just a community of people that you knew all loved the game the same way you did. So it was a really, really cool thing, and I want that experience for Ethereal players as well.
I would love to see it eventually for Ethereal. I'd love to eventually see some competitive, like esports kind of stuff, but yeah, not for a long time, not for a while.
And then Mangoose and I can be the commentators and shoutcasters on the whole thing.
Yes, indeed. Let's stay claim to it now.
Well, that way we have the Ice Wyverns and the Fire Wyverns. We can make that distinction
we can
live.
Solidify that.
Everybody will know that's how they're called. We'll take 10%. Thanks, Eugene.
That sort of Fault sort of attitude with that kind of thing bled into a lot of the problems that I think they have now, because their testing was very competitive focused instead of actual finding bugs focused. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, and I've already seen with Ethereal that you guys do, like, sometimes it's just people come in and play, but sometimes it's like, we're looking for this exact bug, see if you guys can reproduce this. Like, there's an actual schedule to it. Like, it's planned out. Like, there's planned bug testing, which I think is really nice. And Fault, they introduced ELO while they were still in testing, and people were trying to be like the best tester in the game, you know what I mean? And it was like, you're not going to get any true testing like that. Nobody's going to play every hero if there's some heroes are the better ones, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that, and people aren't going to take certain items, and yeah, I would like to see Ethereal not get into that. Just flat out do not have public ELO rankings of any type.
I wouldn't worry about that.
Okay, thank God.
If we were even considering it, we saw what a debacle it became with Fault, and it very quickly changed that, I'm sure. So, but yeah, that's not something I think anybody needs to be concerned with for the foreseeable future.
I think it's good in a way because it has there's some player retention to it. Like when you have a goal to strive for, but I think you can set those goals in other ways through like in-game currency and some sort of mastery system or something like that. But like people just trying to be the top elo, it has ruined Fault.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the features that I noticed Overprime has in their most recent gameplay that they showed for, I think it was their console demo or whatever they were showing for their console port, is a feature that I think I actually discovered while doing research about God of War of all games and how their animations work because of the mocap actor and all of those things. And it's something called hit buffering or hit pausing, either way. And it's something to give kind of a little bit extra weight to your attacks without making them take longer. So the way it's used in both Overprime and God of War is that you start your animation, you swing into an enemy. When it collides with an enemy, there's a brief fraction of a second where the animation pauses and it feels like it collided with the enemy.
Oh, yeah, nice.
And from there, it finishes whatever time is left, it finishes the rest of the animation. So the animation itself will always be 1 second, but you have that brief moment where you feel like you connected that hit into whatever enemy you're attacking. Right? So you don't slow down the game at all, you don't slow down the attack at all, anything like that. It's just that feeling you get from the collision.
Ooh.
That I would love to have in Ethereal.
Even if it was just a millisecond, that would be noticeable, and that would be nice.
It's something Monster Hunter has hit pausing as well.
Oh, really?
So when you collide with a monster, it gives you that moment where you feel like, yeah, like I just did the thing, right? That's what I want with Ethereal, especially with Talos' axe is a big example of that. If he swings that and it gets lodged in somebody for a millisecond, right? That just feels better to the players. And so I would love to see something like that in Ethereal for sure.
And it's better for play too, because sometimes you don't even know if you're hitting somebody with melee unless you get like some sort of reaction from it. Like it's usually done with sound, but if it could be done both visually and audibly, oh, that would be even better.
Mm-hmm. Be very clear, feel good, like the whole 9 yards. And when I saw it in Overprime's video, I was like, dang it, no! Like, I wanted to be the one.
I didn't even notice that. Is that something that they talked about, or?
No, it's, if you look at the clip where Feng Mao's fighting the jungle camp, you can see that there's a moment when he strikes, you get this like white flash, and the animation pauses and then continues. It's very subtle. But when I saw it, I was so excited to see it somewhere else, and in a MOBA, no less, too.
Wonder if Paragon had that.
I don't think they did.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
But honestly, I can't say I was paying attention for it either.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's one of those things that now that I know, I can recognize it. But before, I wouldn't have said anything.
Right. Just like with the distance matching speed warping they did, like as you come to a stop, your steps get shorter. In Paragon, like I'd never noticed that. You could definitely feel the difference. Like Overprime didn't have that at first, and you could definitely tell when you're just like run, stop, run. You know, it didn't feel like Paragon. And Paragon had that, and then you look back and you know what it is. It's so much easier to tell. You can feel it at the time, but it's nice to know exactly what it is to really be able to look for it.
And it's one of those things of you almost hope players don't feel it, because that means it's good. Yeah. Right? That if you feel it when it's absent, because you don't feel it when it is present. So it's that weird, if players don't notice, that's almost a good thing, because it's such a small quality of life feature that just elevates it just enough to be exceptional.
There are some really small things like that like when you like the camera zoom out a little bit whenever you're using a targeting reticle, like you don't really notice that in game unless you don't have it. If you don't have it, you're like, why the fuck is it so hard to hit? Like, this should be an easy ability to hit. It's because you don't have that zoom out, which a lot of the games have included that by now. But I know at first, Predecessor didn't have it in their very first alpha test, and it was a little annoying to try and play like Gideon.
And that's actually a conversation we had relatively recently with the Ethereal team, is what abilities like do those things so it can feel as good as possible and as easy as possible to cast those abilities.
What about a zoom in? Are there any abilities you can think of where it would be cool to zoom in? I can think of one right off my head, top of my head.
I mean, Dante's ult zooms in technically because it goes to the rifle sight. I can't think of any others, but what's one you're thinking of?
I think it would be cool if Noxus's laser beam, if you zoomed in on her whenever she did it, as you were directing it.
Okay, I like it.
I think it would just look cool. I don't think it would offer any gameplay benefits. I just think it would look cool.
I agree. That feeling of
maybe Dante's his right click.
Yeah, overload. You could theoretically put a zoom in there. The hard thing with zoom ins is that it technically lowers your field of vision.
Right.
So if a jungler's coming in from the side, that's a detriment, and so it's hard to like.
A risk reward, man. Risk reward.
Risk reward. There we go.
There's no reward though, other than it looking cool.
We'll just put it on Dante's, and that when he overloads, when he's silenced and shaking his hands, it zooms in a little bit, and you just lose FOV. Yeah, that's totally balanced. No problem.
I don't think it would look cool, but yeah, Noxus is definitely one that you would need some zoom out to land some of her abilities, her root and her ultimate to be exact.
Another one that I noticed in the most recent test for Predecessor they had, and Overprime has as well, is camera recoil. Now it returns back to true, right? So your aim is never actually recoiling upwards, but just when you take that shot, or when you use that melee attack, your camera shifts just a little bit. It just gives you that little bit of, again, weight and impact with your attack that I think helps propel things forward and make them feel good to use.
That would be a cool idea for a carry. If somebody that fired so fast that they had recoil and just having to be able to control that recoil.
I mean, it's possible.
That'd be a neat thing to do.
All right, writing down notes, 10% for Into the Ether. No, absolutely. I think there are a lot of those little details that you can add in that just make the game feel better. And whether that any game, but especially that can be added into Ethereal. Like you said, with the quality of life of seeing when certain things are up with like visual effects or camera recoil or zooming out, all those things help. There's such little details that help so much in making a game feel better.
Now, something I've noticed, this is a completely different game, but Blood Hunt, the climbing mechanic from Blood Hunt, I'm sure is going to apply to the assassins, or what are we calling them? Reapers in Ethereal. The climbing mechanic, they had to change that for controllers because it was so hard for people to be able to disengage from the climbing. So that'd be something for you guys to look into whenever you do actually have that climbing mechanic in. But I think it's done well in that game. Like, you hold the space bar, which is the jump button, to climb. I guess it would be the left shift in Ethereal for the
Reapers. Yeah,
Reapers.
So it's another thing that will, once it's implemented, will have to be tweaked, I'm sure, to make it feel as good as possible given the constraints that are on it as well, with like the stamina system and all that good stuff.
Yeah, right on. I think I wrote down better appeal to a wider audience, but I think you guys are already doing that. I have no idea why I wrote that down.
You're talking about us. We have to appeal to a wider audience.
That we did. Well, I've got my new series of thumbnails in the works. You've already seen the first one.
Oh God!
I'll do some of I'll do some of those for Ethereal.
Perfect. Yeah. Throw them my way. I'll make sure and put them up on YouTube videos.
First nude Moba? With a big question mark? Absolutely not. But if I put it in the thumbnail, you're going to click on it.
The ultimate clickbait right there.
Yeah, right.
That's appealing to gamers. That right there, that's the way to do it.
You won't believe what Malaya's new skin looks like.
We'll just put up a picture of old Malaya, right? Dude, that's not technically clickbait because that used to exist.
She used to be wearing a bikini
now, but old Malaya, old Kalia. There we go. Old.
Right on.
The first furry MOBA.
I think that's about all I had to talk about. Did you have any other ones, Jelly?
Not that comes to mind, but I also feel like there's so many like little ones that you can go almost endlessly with at the same time. So none of the big like features that I'm like diehard for.
I'm sure we asked for it in the last episode, but I'm sure this is the one we'll get the comments for where people are going to have great ideas. So
absolutely, they're going to bring something up that you and I both are like, why didn't we think of that? Of course,
we'll have to circle back around next time.
I guess real quick we can talk about the item post that went up on the.
Oh yeah.
I forgot that happened this week. But yeah, so new items were up on the website, new blog post kind of detailing some of the item changes, starting items, the removal of the artifacts because they were just downright broken. I mean, a whole bunch of different changes. Mangoose, kind of what were your thoughts on all that?
I think it's really good that you guys are already balancing and removing and fixing stuff, that you've already got enough data from the testing that you've been doing that you're able to put the game in a better state before the wider audience even gets their hands on it. That's kind of just my thoughts on it.
And the big one about is the artifacts, right? At those, when we went through and did a lot of the changes to the items of like rebalancing their stats and their gold costs and all of that kind of stuff, the artifacts were unbalanceable because you either, even if we lowered them down to just their stats that they gave to like a 10% gold efficiency, right? So that they were just absolutely awful in terms of the stats they gave the support.
Yeah.
The aura, the second you gave the aura to 2 people or more, it scaled to like 300% efficiency. And you're like, what on earth? And then you can't nerf the aura because you're giving like 1 stat per person. It's like, that's not worth it. Why would you build this? So yeah, it just became this cat and mouse game of there's no way to balance this. We're just going to pull it out for now and then try to really rethink the whole artifact tree and bring it back at a later time.
Yeah, I don't know how you would do that. Because, I mean, if you make them too strong, then, everybody's going to grab them. You would have to make them... I think it's okay to have, for a support, to have a really strong item like that. But, yeah, if you make them too strong, everybody's going to get them.
Yep. And
you have to
the
make it some way so that the supports only supports would want to get them.
Well, so that's our thought as well, is like, okay, how do we take that effect and put it on the masks? So then only the people that take the mask, only people that can take the mask active can then build that item.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were thinking about it like, then everyone's just going to build the mask active.
Yeah.
Like, take the mask active. Like, it doesn't mean it was just so strong. It's going to win every time, no matter what you do with it. It was nuts.
Well, I'm glad I'm glad you guys identified that now instead of having the players find out the hard way.
People running around with artifacts, everyone buffing each other in team fights, 500 armor all
it would
across the board.
immediately happen. It would immediately,
100%.
It would go on Reddit or something. It would get out somehow, and then everybody would be doing it.
It was like that test with Predecessor where combustion was broken. And everybody took combustion. You're a physical damage carry? Doesn't matter. Combustion. So it'd be like that all over again, where it's just everybody builds an artifact.
That was an interesting item from Predecessor, but yeah, that was way too overpowered. It was like you took so many steps, and then your next ability did like 1 million damage or some shit.
Damage.
Yeah.
Narbash carry, done. Build combustion, win.
I think that's a problem Predecessor is going to have in general, because a lot of their items, at least the last time I was able to play it, some of those item combinations were ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was
the one that will give me nightmares until the day I die is called like Witch Stalker or something. And if you did that right, you could stack that to 30-something% of someone's max health in one hit. No. Yeah. No. That will haunt me till the end of my days. I'll just think about getting 30% of my health kicked in one hit. Thanks, but no thanks.
The one I had was radiated like a fiery aura, but then I also had another aura that radiated that weakened people, and I would just be on Narbash like mid game taking junglers 1v1 in their jungle and just fucking them up, not even hitting them, just being close to them, just healing them away, banging on my drums, and they couldn't do shit to me. And it's like, yeah, they're gonna have to take a hard look at some of their items because there's. And I'm glad you guys are doing that already.
All those videos that came out right with the last Predecessor test, looking at them, I was like, oh my god. That was, I think, the moment where we all went like, we can't have this with our items. We have to go through and look at these now because no.
Yeah. If you want to make a game quicker, I guess. Some really overpowered items. Shit.
30% max health damage. Done. Okay.
Now, Patreon members, we got to listen to Aron's theme.
Mm-hmm.
Will that eventually come out to the greater audience? Like
it will.
We had with
I don't have the exact time frame for it, but we have a scheduled date that'll release out to the public at large.
Sometime around Halloween?
Maybe. But Aron's theme is great. If you guys haven't heard it, join the Patreon.
Yeah, that was my sly way of trying to entice people into it.
No, I was so glad to hear everybody liking it because I listened to it the first time and went like, "Oh my god, this is brilliant! Thank you so much." And was like, from that moment onward, I was like, "Okay, Aron's theme this week? No, not this week. Next week. Next week? No, not that one. Okay, when's Aron's theme? Because we're releasing this. Like, it's gonna happen. I need other people to listen to this."
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Not what I thought it was going to be at all, but it was still really good. All right. I think that's about all I got. You want to wrap it up?
Yeah, that's it for me.
You got anything to plug?
Ethereal Clash of Souls, their Patreon. Listen to Iran's theme. Listen to all the information we give out on the Patreon. Changes every week, polls, all that good stuff. What about you, Mangoose?
I guess one thing we need to put out, because people haven't realized it, is we swapped this show from week to week between our channels. So I think this week it's going on your channel. I need to do a better job of promoting that on my channel so that people know where to find the show.
It's like we said it for like 20 weeks though.
Yeah, I know, right?
People not know this.
If you subscribe to the podcast, you just get it in one place.
Yeah, gosh.
Just saying. Another thing real quick I want to talk about. I suggested that people watch that anime Tesla Note. It's fucking terrible. I'm like 3-4 episodes into it. I'm sorry if you started watching it because of me. It's horrid. It's a missed opportunity. Watch Sakugan instead. That's going to be the anime that blows everybody's pants off this particular season. Sakugan.
Or I actually have another thing we can plug, because it'll be announced by the time this comes out that on November 6th, your favorite content creators will be playing the game, playing Ethereal, streaming it if they want to, recording footage, doing Q&As, the whole 9 yards. So November 6th at 12 o'clock Central Time, there'll be a stream, several streams for all the creators and all that good stuff. So that'll be an exciting Saturday.
Right on. I didn't expect you to talk about that. But yeah, I guess by the time this does go up, then people will be that will be announced. Awesome.
Absolutely. Should be super fun.
Yeah, I hope so. All right, so I think that's going to be about wrap it up. Tune in November 6th. And then when's the next community corner?
Friday, yep.
Okay, so watch.
Another thing to plug. More things.
There you go. Watch the community corner on Friday. It'll be on Ethereal's Twitch. Just head to their Discord, or I have or it's on your channel. I'm sure you'll have the links in the video description and all that. And if you're just listening to this on a podcast, I don't know how you're going to find it, but just you'll be able to find Undying Games.
Find us on YouTube. Type in JellyKnees or Mangoose.
There you go.
Ignore the Mongoose videos when you type in Mangoose, but.
But anyways, I hope everybody joins us as we play this game and show everybody what's going on with it as we enter the ether.
You blue balls me, 100%. As we... Oh, okay, we're not doing the normal outro.